In this lecture, we are going to study arrays. Now, first thing which we need to know is that what is array and why do we need an array. So let's try to write a simple program where we feel the need of an array first. So I'll give it a name of like array test. We'll use PSVM tab and I want to create an array. So to create an array in Java, we need to provide it with a square brackets. So I can just say my int array, which is equal to, so the new keyword in Java basically allows us to create an array. And I can create an array which is having a number of elements which is defined as 4, which means that my array int array can actually hold 4 elements with a single name, and that's a benefit with the variable. Variable, if it is a normal variable, you can actually store only one value inside it. Let's say you have integer x, you can store only x inside, only one value inside it. With the integer array that we have created, which is of integer type, we can actually tell that my first element value is 100 and my second element value is 101. So second element is something which is 101, and then you can keep on giving the values to the array. Basically I can make up the size of this array to be 2 so that I have only 2 elements to be provided. I can just try to print the values from the array, which is int array of value 1, and this will print the value of to be 1. And when I'll quickly run this program, I'm going to get the output which will tell that your second element value is going to be the 1. The issue with the array is that arrays are fixed size. Basically I cannot increment the size of the array to be 3, so I cannot do this, which is like second element value, which is 102, because the array size is defined to be of only 2 elements, and as array starts with 0, I can store only 0 and 1 element, and then the moment you will try to go beyond the size of the array, either allocating up the value to the array element or trying to retrieve the value from the array element. Here we are trying to allocate a value to the element which does not exist because the array size is 2, so the array starts with 0, so 0th element and the first element. So here it generates array index out of bounds exception, and it states that the size of the array is basically fixed, which is 2. These are some of the limitations of the array. Once you define the size of the array, you cannot increment that, and these are some of the elements which we are able to remove by using a array list, and that's what we are going to see into the next lecture. Basically, if you want to create the array of any of the class, let's say you have a class which is called as a test, you can actually create the array of the objects also. So here we are creating the array of the integer type. We can now create the array of the test, and to create the array of the test, we can say that my array is of the test type, test array, which is name of the array. I can again use a new keyword over here, and I can tell that the number of elements into my test array are going to be 2. What does this mean? This basically means that I am going to have the number of elements which is 2, which is my first element, which basically points to the null object because you have just initialized the array. So you have the two reference, test array 0 and test array 1. And to assign the memory, to assign the instance to this array, because this is a reference type, right? Test array 0 is a reference type. To assign the value, you can just say that this is actually pointing to a test object, and you can say that this is pointing to another test object, right? So basically what we are doing over here, we are creating an array which is of the complex type, which is your class, and then you are telling that all the references, they are pointing to some object over there, right? And that's how you can actually create the array of any object type, or you can create the array of integer type. Same way you can actually create the Java defined values array, you can say that string str array which is equal to new string. Remember, I am not putting up these kind of brackets over here, right? I am putting up the square brackets over here, which denotes that this is actually an array, and then this says that I have str array 0 to str array 9 number of elements, and to assign the value only to the first element and last element, just for the example, I can just say that the value is abc over here, and then str array value number 9, which is equal to xyz over here. So I have assigned the value only to the first element and to the last element. If you want to print all the values from the array, you can actually run the for loop, and to do that you can just say that str array and s out s. This is important. This is a for each statement which says that I will traverse through all the elements into the array, will pick up each element which will be referenced using s, and I'll just print up the value. So when you will try to run this, you will get up the value to be printed onto your screen, which is of all the objects over here which are of string array, but I need to comment out these codes so that it will not generate an exception. We are going to look into the exception handling also over here. So just try to understand this. The first element says that my value is ABC, remaining all elements says that my value is null, except the last element which says that my value is XYZ, because you have not assigned the value from number 1 to number 8, and that's why it is printing 2. So for each statement is something which retrieves the value. To individually retrieve the value, you can just say that give me this value, and to assign the value you can say that this is the reference and this is the value. This is how the array works.